most fascinating and profound in the Bible, full of moments of glory and tragedy. He was a man chosen by God from birth, endowed with superhuman strength to free the people of Israel from the oppression of the Philistines. However, his life was not just marked by victories. On the contrary, it was a journey of ups and downs, where Samson often gave in to his weaknesses and impulses. Her story teaches us valuable lessons about faith, redemption, and the true meaning of strength. It all started with a promise. The people of Israel lived in difficult times, suffering under the relentless rule of the Philistines. In the midst of this oppression, God chose an unlikely family to accomplish something great. An angel appeared to a woman who was barren, telling her that she would be the mother of a special son. Imagine her astonishment when she heard that. She, who had never been able to have children, was now destined to bring into the world someone who would be a liberator for Israel. The angel was clear. This boy will be a Nazirite from the womb, consecrated to God. This meant that he had to follow very specific rules. Not drinking wine, not touching anything unclean, and, most notable of all, never cutting his hair. Samson's birth was like a ray of hope for his family and the people, a sign that God had not forgotten them. From an early age, he carried a great destiny with him, and everyone knew it. The boy Samson grew strong, fearless, but what few knew was that his strength did not just come from his muscles, but from a much greater connection with the divine. Samson's life followed an unusual course. Since he was little, he knew he was different from the other boys in the village. His strength grew impressively, and everyone around him realized that there was something special about him. But it wasn't just his physical strength that made him stand out. He bore the mark of being a Nazirite, a person set apart for God. He could not cut his hair, nor drink wine, and there was constant care that he would not break this sacred vow. As the years passed, his fame began to spread. There was something almost mystical about his figure. He walked around with a confidence that only those on a special mission possess. The Israelite people saw in Samson the hope of better days, someone who could challenge them to come out from under Philistine rule. After all, everyone knew that the Philistines were a powerful, merciless people, always looking for ways to further subjugate Israel. And that's where Samson, with all the strength God gave him, seemed to be the answer. But Samson's strength was a gift that needed to be guarded jealously. What few knew was that his true strength came not from his muscles, but from his fidelity to the vow he and his parents had made to God. This was something precious, almost invisible, but it defined his entire existence. However, he was beginning to feel invincible, as if nothing could stop him. And it was then that life presented him with an unexpected challenge. While Samson was walking through one of the valleys of his land, distracted in his thoughts, something unexpected happened. Suddenly, the silence was broken by a deafening roar. Before him appeared a young, wild, hungry lion. The beast advanced with frightening speed, its eyes fixed on Samson, as if it knew that he was the only worthy opponent for such a clash. Samson, for a brief moment, remained motionless. Any other man, upon seeing that creature, would have fled or looked for some type of weapon. But Samson was not like the others. He had no time to think. There was no sword within reach, only his own hands. And then, as if something powerful took hold of him, a supernatural impulse coursed through his body. With bare hands, he charged at the lion. The confrontation was quick, but unforgettable. With strength that seemed beyond strength, Samson grabbed the lion by the jaws and, with a ferocious movement, tore him in half, as if he were breaking a piece of bread. The silence that followed was profound. There, on the ground, lay the lion, defeated by a simple man. But Samson knew that this victory was not just his. There was something more at stake. That strength came from God, and he felt it in every fiber of his body. The dead lion was just the beginning of something bigger, a harbinger of even more intense challenges he would face. Without telling anyone about what had happened, he went on his way. However, The memory of the dead lion remained in his mind. Some time later, Samson returned to the path where he had faced the lion. That moment still resonated in his memory as a feat he knew was more than a simple show of strength. As he approached the location, he decided to look at what was left of the animal. And there, inside the lion's carcass, something extraordinary awaited him. A swarm of bees had built a hive in the body of the dead animal. The smell of honey in the air was irresistible. Samson bent down, stretched out his hand, and collected the honey that flowed from the hive. The sweet taste melted in your mouth. Who could have imagined that something so pleasant would come from such a fierce and deadly creature? This was more than a coincidence. It was almost as if nature itself was revealing a hidden secret to him. From what was strong and dangerous, something sweet and precious came out. But just as he did with the lion, Samson kept it to himself, without telling anyone what he had found. With honey in hand, he continued on his way to preparations for his wedding to the Philistine woman he had chosen. Samson's wedding party was grand. The banquet was filled with food, music, laughter, and of course, many Philistine guests. Samson, in his confident and mysterious way, posed the riddle to everyone present. From what he eats came food, and from the strong came sweetness. He promised a great reward, fine and precious clothes, to whoever could solve the riddle. The Philistines, intrigued, accepted the challenge, but soon realized that they were facing something impossible to decipher. Days passed, and none of them could even come close to the answer. The pressure started to build. The pride of the Philistines was at stake. They could not lose to an Israelite, especially in their own land. Frustrated, the guests decided to resort to dishonest methods. They went to Samson's wife, and with threats, forced her to find out the answer. Fearing for her own life and the safety of her family, she relented. Day after day, she begged Samson to reveal the secret to her, saying that it was his duty to share everything with her, that now they were just one. Samson at first resisted. I knew the riddle was more than just a joke. It was a way of expressing the strength and mystery of what God had done in his life. But tired of her insistence, he ended up giving in and telling her the answer. She, in turn, revealed the secret to the Philistines. When the Philistines answered the riddle correctly, Samson realized the betrayal. He knew that the Philistines had only discovered the answer to the riddle because they forced his wife to cheat on him. The bitter taste of disappointment and injustice grew in his chest.